Hello and welcome to episode 387 of Retro Encounter, RPG Fans' weekly podcast of many topics. I'm Mike Sollosi, and, before we sing the song of our people, let's introduce my other panelist, Wes Iliff.
Hi, everybody.
Wes, you and I are the only ones that signed up for this game this week. We're talking about Rhapsody, a musical adventure, a 1998 PlayStation game that came worldwide in 2000. It's the first localized worldwide game by Nipponichi Software. It's developed a bit of a following over the years because Wes, over the last, say, 20 years of being extremely online and extremely into JRPGs, you would see positive language about Rhapsody. Like, this is again, its fan base is not large, but the people that have played this game generally like it a lot. Is that your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. The only negative voices I've heard are ones who don't like musicals, for the most part. So
yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about the musical nature of this game. But first, a little bit more background. I should mention I am a big fan of Nipponichi games, but that is almost entirely due to their run of strategy RPGs in the 2000s. I put terrifying amounts of time into the first four Disgaea games, as well as La Pucelle Tactics, and medium amount of time into Makai Kingdom, Phantom Brave. What other ones are out there that I'm definitely forgetting right now?
Soul Nomad,
yeah, the Gig with the World Eaters. That's right. A little bit of ZHP on Losing Ranger.
Oh, amazing game.
Yeah, exactly. So like I really, really like that run of games, which is mostly the 2000s decade into the early 2010s. And again, I have been quietly trying to sneak a Disgaea episode onto this podcast for, no joke, something like 6 or 7 years, but it hasn't happened yet.
Gotta believe.
There's still time. There's
a new Disgaea out. Quick.
No.
While everyone's in the mood, we need to go back.
We got to wait 18 months for them to do the complete re-release first. But anyway, Rhapsody Musical Adventure was, for many people, the earliest available Nipponichi game. Again, it came out in 2000 for the PlayStation 1. And it's also the first game in a series called Marl Kingdom, which is sometimes called Marl's Kingdom because it's like Marl no Kingdom or whatever. And it's referred to in both ways in the text of the game, so I don't know what the exact right way to say it. But Rhapsody came out as part of a collection last year. I think it's a collection on the Switch, but you can get Rhapsody along with La Pucelle Tactics. But you can get Rhapsody and La Pucelle separately in other on other platforms like Steam. So it basically, and I think this was volume 3 of the Nipponichi Classics collection. So slowly, over the past couple of years, Nipponichi's been re-releasing a lot of their more popular games of the 2000s in these collections, and Rhapsody happened last year. And that's exactly how I'm playing this right now. I got the Rhapsody and La Pucelle collection on the Switch, and that's why I'm playing this. But also, the fourth collection of this nature is the other two Marl Kingdom games, and those just came out earlier this year, and there's reviews for both of them on RPGFan.com. So if you want to, take the temperature of the Marl Kingdom trilogy, you can read reviews of all three of them that are less than 18 months old. So basically, this was a very niche game that had two unreleased games as part of a trilogy, but now all of them are more available than ever. So I think we were interested in Rhapsody because it was on our ideas board for a long time. But then the re-release of these games, I think maybe re-sparked or renewed some more interest in them. So it ended up winning our internal poll for what to play this month. And here we are, Wes.
I've wanted to play this game for so long that I was really happy it won. I wish we had maybe one or two more people joining us just to get more people invested in this game because it's got a lot of interesting ideas.
Yeah, it definitely merits a discussion. And we'll talk about like what I think is good and bad about this game and how much I'm actually enjoying it soon. But I think just people were busy this month.
We got this.
Yeah, we did have a third panelist, but they had to cancel because they were busy. It's 2-person episodes of podcasts I think can work and do work, but just like I think that people didn't want to have to like buy a new copy to be on the podcast this month specifically.
It's fine. We're talking enough for a full panel.
Oh yeah, I can probably talk enough for a full panel just on my own, but that would be so selfish and egotistical that I would never dare do it. But you mentioned that you had wanted to play this game for a while. I did play the very beginning of this game, uh, probably around 20 years ago in the early 2000s. I was a teenager. I was renting as many PlayStation RPGs as I can to play as many as I could, and I believe I rented this and got either bored or lost. I don't even think I got to that party at the castle. I was just unsure of the next. I couldn't figure out the next place I had to go, and I just gave up on it and gave it back to Blockbuster after 5 days or whatever the time limit was.
I've definitely been occasionally thankful for FAQs and walkthroughs as I've gone through this, because it's got that old school idea of you've got to talk to the right person, and they're not going to tell you who that right person is.
Oh yeah, no, there's some Dragon Quest energy of you need to talk to every NPC because you won't be able to progress until you find the event flag. That's the one NPC you have to talk to. But unfortunately, this game is not super broad. Like there's not 15 towns and stuff in it, so it's not even a huge effort to go back and talk to literally everyone in town. And that's what I've resorted to a couple times.
And honestly, that's one of the two things that drew me to it. One was the musical nature of it, because I love musicals and I couldn't resist. The other is the fact that it's such a condensed game. It moves quickly.
Yeah, maybe it's because this game is a little old, and maybe it's because this game just isn't terribly deep, but it moves fast. Like I when I was playing it last night, I completed one of the major side quests. I basically finished one of the Magic Stones quests, and then and after I finished, I'm like, that took me 15 minutes. What just happened? Isn't this a major pillar of the game? But yeah, I had a similar experience when I played Suikoden 1 for the first time, like 2 years ago or so. It's like, oh yeah, just games of this era, they moved. There's a because maybe because just that's how RPGs were back then, or maybe it's because there was budgetary constraints. But sometimes just events happen super fast in old school games, and when we're maybe used to modern games like really languidly pulling out plot points or major in-game events.
Yeah, this might make me unpopular with some listeners, but I like short RPGs. I want more of them sometimes. I want something where I can get that story in a nice condensed area and I can remember it all, especially when my gaming time can be limited.
Oh no, I'm totally with you, and it definitely is because we're both in our 30s and our gaming time is very limited. But
yeah, exactly.
But I think that there is value in long games and short games, because sometimes you do want a game you can sort of play forever, and sometimes there's a game you want to be able to roll the credits in 10 days. And I think there's value to both of those. So whenever someone complains about a game being too short, I always have to re-examine that with really, was it too short, or did your expectations not match the product? I think that
exactly.
And I one of my favorite websites of all time is hltb.com, because I can, when a game's coming out, or let's say a game's been out for a few weeks, I can check how long it is and be like, perfect. I want to play a 25-hour game next. I'll play that. Or it's like, oh man, I don't think I want an 80-hour game in my life right now. Maybe I'll wait until later this year. But Rhapsody is a shorty. It is it's something like 10 to 12 hours, which makes me probably more than halfway done. I think I'm something like 6 hours in. And it moves very briskly, but I think its selling points as an RPG, and probably why it's been popular over the years, is that it's an RPG musical. It punctuates a lot of plot points with musical numbers. And some of them are sort of expected, like at near the very beginning of the game, Cornet and her puppet Kururu are walking through the forest, and they just sing a song about we're walking through the forest and we're friends, but we're a little lonely, and I'm not sure what I want in life. That sounds like an like Belle singing about her village at the beginning of Beauty and the Beast. Exactly. Or it is a stage setting opening number that's cute and pleasant. And so when this happened, I'm listening, like, oh, this is cute. If we get a bunch of these over the course of the game, I'm not against it. But as we got more of them, Wes, I'm starting to wonder if my standards are too high. Did you have a similar feeling?
Yeah, I definitely I definitely found myself wishing for a little bit more substance to some of the songs as I went further in. There are a few that are like cute and entertaining, whereas the first few are very much let's set the stakes, let's put a spotlight on a character and let them sing, and that's it. We get things a little bit more interesting as we go in.
Yeah, I there is one song that is by far my favorite, and we'll talk about it soon. But I just think that the writing on these songs is a little weak. There's like maybe it's because I have a high standard of what a good movie musical is. Because I've seen like you, I really love musicals. I mean I've seen On the Town and Seven Brides for Seven Brothers more than just about anyone else that I know. I'm exactly the right age to have grown up with the Disney animated movies from like Little Mermaid to Mulan range. That 10, 12 year gap or so. And all of those have just incredible writing and incredible music. And you know, I'm also a fan of Broadway musicals, and I've seen and I, you know, there was a time where I listened to the Hamilton soundtrack for many, many hours in a row. So
there was a time.
There was a time. It's still good, but I when that musical was having its moment, I was part of that moment. I'm you know
me too.
I'm mostly okay and only slightly embarrassed to say. But no shade though. Hamilton's great, but Rhapsody is not as great. Like these songs are, the writing is a little stilted. I think the performers are fine, but they're not singers. Like these are voice actors that they hired, but not singers, which makes me wonder, like, man, if Jodie Benson was in Grandia 2 as a voice, they couldn't get her for this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough because it's not just like that. It is the writing. It is very simple rhymes, not a lot of the kind of wordplay you'd love out of a musical. And some of that may be that it's a translated musical, and sometimes those will come out a bit stilted.
Yeah, I did wonder, you know, maybe this is better in Japanese when I was a couple musical numbers in.
I definitely noticed a few turns of phrases that are like very much a literal translation of Japanese turns of phrases. Because anytime you talk about the heart, that's going to be something that was probably more impactful in Japanese than it was in English.
I think they also, I mean, I think they did rhyme love with love or heart with heart once or twice in there. But again, it probably because they already have a meter they have to fill and they have translation limitations, but the writing feels a little awkward, a little stilted, and the performers are fine, but like not pros. Like they're not,
and it really stands out.
Yeah, they're not like they can carry a tune, but they're not excellent singers. But and also, I mean, this is also, you know, maybe some people find it charming, but I find it sometimes annoying. The localization would sometimes make localization jokes in the game.
Yes,
like they. Like you talk to an NPC and they said something like, it's cold outside, and then in parentheses this is what they actually said in Japanese, close parentheses. And like there's sort of fourth wall breaking winks that I think are, you know, a little corny, but again, I think this game's writing is just a little corny. But again, this was a 2000 localization. They definitely didn't have a ton of budget. And if this game was being remade from the ground up, I am very confident both the localized writing would be much stronger.
The nice thing is, due to just kind of the feel of the game and the tongue-in-cheek nature of a lot of this and how it's a very goofy fairy tale, the translation doesn't stand out as much as it could, because it taking, you know, those little liberties and being a little bit off kilter kind of fits with the feel of the game. I don't want to say it's like a perfect match or anything, but it helps soften the blow maybe a little bit.
Yeah, the game is lighthearted and low stakes. Or actually, you know, that's unfair. Lighthearted and medium stakes. Yeah. But they do have comedy beats. They do go for sort of like cutesy moments rather than there's not a lot of death or suffering in this game, and the melodrama is a little subversive and often played for laughs. Like this game does not have my favorite writing or my favorite translation, but it is a kind of writing and kind of translation that's a little uncommon. And I'd say like, again, I think the writing in this game is not great, but the tone of this game is pretty interesting. It's a a lighthearted fairy tale like RPG with musical numbers. The main characters are almost all women, and it's refreshing to play a 1998 game that is female led in nearly every important role. And so what I'm saying is, I think this game has a lot of good ideas, but just that, I mean, we play a lot of very good games for this podcast, and I don't think this lives up to the best of them. But it is a very refreshing change from Dragon Quarter last year, which is a game that's openly hostile to the player but has great mechanics and great writing, while Rhapsody has not great mechanics or writing, but is a much gentler game.
Yeah, this is very much something you sit back and relax with, more so than you go out anticipating and building up like, oh man, I can't wait to play this. This is a lot more of a like, yeah, I feel like chilling a little bit tonight, and this is going to facilitate that.
I really do wonder if this game was made for children or maybe people that don't play a lot of RPGs. Because
I feel like it's a first-timer RPG in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's a little bit baby's first RPG, but not in a. It depends on how attached you are to how important difficulty is in a video game. Which for me is I'm not that much of a challenge hound. I play some hard RPGs, some easy RPGs, but if they're good and I'm engaged, I'll play both of them all the way through the end. But this is an easy RPG. Again, like I would do major plot points and they would go by shockingly quickly. I win boss fights in like the first or second round, like a little too often. I remember like I'm fighting I think it was Gao on the pirate ship. Have you done that yet?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was fighting Gao on the pirate ship, and my turn, I'm like, all right, Cornet, use blow your horn to give everyone an attack boost, and then have my three puppets like spell attack, and that was it. And I'm like, really? That was it? Did I eat? Again, Wes, you've probably had a similar experience to me. But this game is so easy with its battle mechanics that I don't think I've had to use an item a single time the entire game. And I had to revive a puppet, I think once, because I brought in a level 1 puppet to a level 25 fight and it died in one hit.
This is exactly what happened to me the one time I had to use the revival mechanic.
And it's not that big a deal because like leveling up is so fast in this game that this game is already kind of easy, and then grinding is the grind is easy, it's making it even easier. I'm probably over leveled, but also there's never been a single moment of struggle for me in this game, really.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt that they start you with one of the most powerful characters in the game almost immediately.
Yeah, it depends on what version you're playing. Both of us are on the recent re-release, so that's based on the PlayStation 1 original with some tightened up name changes and translation fixes here and there, but mostly exactly like the original. This game did have a DS remake around 15 years ago that added a couple changes, including bringing in some stuff from future Marl Kingdom games. Like I think there's a scene that's only in the third Marl Kingdom game, and they just put it in the DS game. But you also get Kururu as a starting puppet in the DS version. But that's not what we're doing. We just have Cornet, a girl with a musically inclined girl with a trumpet who is able to talk to puppets, and the starting puppet Sharte, which we're going to pronounce the E at the end because otherwise, I don't know, my inner middle school boy will take over and just.
We're going to have to bleep it, and then it's just going to be laughing and.
Yeah, it's like basically a shark, but replacing the K with a T. And it's like, dude, no, I'm going to call her Sharte.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing before we recorded this podcast, trying to repeat in my head to myself, Sharte.
Mm-hmm. And you get Sharte to start off in the beginning, and you find puppets pretty easily throughout the game. It's a little bit like Pokemon because they're all these sort of quirkily designed mascot style characters. But they have dialogue and motivations and everything, and also some sort of scary implications. I think Kururu tells you in a cutscene one time that, oh, Cornet, you're special, and this trumpet is special because it can grant the wishes of any puppet you meet. But the more powerful the wish and the purer your heart, the more powerful your trumpet will be, or something. So, but they basically hand wave an explanation of why Cornet can talk to puppets, and puppets will obey her in battle. But also the sort of darker implication is that all of these puppets are are inhabited by a spirit that experienced some unfulfilled wish or loss. And I think the first time we get that is you meet a bear costume that was in an old theater, and it's a puppet named Elkun. And Elkun joins you. You end up wearing the bear costume for part of the story. It's very silly. But after you finish that story moment, Elkun says, "Thank you so much for letting me be on stage and perform again. It's just what I wanted. So I'm going to go to heaven now, but the puppet will stay with you." And I'm like, what the hell? And then there's a scene of like a beam of light shooting out from Elkun. So now Elkun's still in your party. You still have this bear that casts thunder spells for reasons unknown to hang out with you. But it looks like that all of these puppets are the spirit of a departed person that had an unfulfilled wish, and Cornet's powers will help make the puppet stronger and grant their wishes, possibly. But then after they move on, so basically you're like she's almost like a puppet exorcist in a way that is not really communicated by the tone of the game at all. But they also try to make that part of the game as wholesome as possible. Almost all the puppets are friendly to you. There's a couple puppets filled with revenge or resentment. I think there's 3 swordsman puppets that you meet. I just met the third one.
It should be 3.
Yeah, okay, and they all want revenge against, I think it's Mustaki, which is Cornet's grandfather and a brilliant puppet maker. but they attack you when you meet them for the first time, but then they respect your strength and join you. So like the puppets here, I saw a list. There's more than there's something like 16. Oh shoot, I think it's like 15 or 16 of them. But yeah, whenever you find a puppet, you get dialogue. They have specific motivations and a dedicated side quest, which is like in an RPG that was a little more interesting, a little more challenging. That could be awesome. Like collecting these cartoon puppets and helping them fulfill their wishes, and maybe rewarding those side quests with new attacks or something. They have an interesting story gameplay mechanic structurally here, but it's just the game is so easy. The whole thing is just a shrug, and you can use whatever puppets you want.
It also sometimes feels like the game is less concerned with the puppet ideas of the plot. Like it's wanting you to go through the whole rescue scenario, the main plot. So the fact that she can control these puppets, the fact that they have souls, the fact that they have unresolved business, only seems to come up infrequently, and it's something that could be focused on a little bit more and bring something unique.
And also, puppets are very popular in this land. You see puppets just in people's houses hanging out all the time. But Cornet is the only person that can speak to puppets. So like you'll go into a person's house and it'll be like an old lady there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm lonely since my husband passed away, but at least I have this little puppet here." And when you talk to the puppet, it's like I'm the ghost of her husband. I just hope she can stay happy. It's like, what the hell? It's like talking to puppets will teach you about the world and give you sometimes hints for the next thing you got to do. But it's very weird that this is a world where puppets and dolls are popular and they're central to the gameplay, and you're the only one that can talk to them. I don't know. It makes this very cute, openly cute world have a dark underbelly that is kind of messed up, and I kind of like.
Yeah, I get that. It gives you something to gnaw on, whereas the rest of the plot is kind of very straightforward. This one actually gives your brain something to latch onto and think about.
And we mentioned Shartae. She's the puppet you get at the beginning of the game. She can heal and use holy magic, and she's at least above average, possibly one of the best in the game. So having her never leave your party is not the worst idea. But do you have another favorite puppet that you've used other than Shartae?
Oh, that's a good question. I really liked for a long time. What's the first egg's name? Oh my goodness.
Is it okay? Is it Tell?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's Tell, named after William Tell, then Kid, and Billy, named after Billy the Kid.
He didn't stay in my party super long because I just got stronger puppets, but something about his animations, like this egg that bounces around between enemies and has this giant halberd that he's striking with.
Actually, no, I think Kid is the axe egg and Tell is the bow and arrow egg.
Okay. Yeah, that actually sounds right.
So if you find all 3 eggs and go into one of the early dungeons of the game, they'll pop out of the party and tell you that their quest is in that dungeon. So there's stuff like that. There's an arc of you meeting every puppet, and they have these very silly cartoony designs, but then you can help them achieve their wish by giving them each a dedicated side quest. Again, this isn't bad. I just wish that the gameplay was a little deeper to accommodate this mostly interesting system. But you didn't use any of the eggs for very long?
No, I just had stronger. Like, casters are amazing in this game. And while most puppets are in some way or another casters, there are some that are definitely more castery than others. So I find myself pretty heavily leaning on magic.
Really, I think there's 2 kinds of puppets. There's sort of attackers and casters, and sometimes the casters are also good attackers just by having a high attack stat. But like that first egg, the egg with an axe, and the 3 revenge swordsmen are pretty strong. Like, I have one of the swordsmen in my party right now, and his regular attacks deal like 200 damage, maybe like 270 if you boost them with cornet. So like all of the puppets are way stronger than your opponents. So for the most part, you can use whoever you want. But I agree. Magic casting is very powerful in this game, and sometimes enemies will resist one element. Like, my wind dragon, like tornado, will deal usually 160 damage, but against these enemies it's 110 because they resist wind. It's like that. Okay, then I'll just put 2 different element mages in my party. It's again, you really don't have to overthink it. But magic is powerful and big attackers are powerful, but maybe those eggs aren't very powerful.
The thing that really affects my party makeup is that the casters have AoE, and especially Sharte. Since she's with you from the beginning, she's my highest level puppet. She always acts first, and she has 2 really powerful AoE attacks. So she tends to be the only one acting in battle unless it's a boss fight. So the rest of my party doesn't matter. She is my party.
Yeah, I mean, and also you heal at a level up in this game, and you level up super fast. Like, I think on average, you're going through a dungeon. My highest level puppets will probably level up every 5 or 6 battles, and 5 or 6 battles is more than enough to, or I should say, not even enough to run out of MP casting my most powerful spells. So you because you're going to level up anyway, and heal those MP anyway, you can cast your most powerful spells most of the time and be just fine. Like, we're maybe talking about this for too long, but this game has some pretty good mechanics. It also has some light strategy RPGs mechanics. You move around on a grid. There's area of effect spells. There's boosting spells. And again, there's some puppets that are definitely more attackers. You also can recruit monsters in this game. Did you even know that going in?
There was like the one monster that you get at the very beginning, and I haven't touched any others since.
What was it a mushroom?
Mine was a slime.
Okay. I think you have a low chance of recruiting a monster if maybe Cornet has to deal the final blow or something, but I recruited 2 mushrooms in this game, not even aware I could recruit monsters. Once was in the very beginning dungeon, once was a little bit later. And they were both mushrooms, but slightly different colors. So one was a mid-game mushroom. And also there's just a monster collector in a shop that will just buy your puppets or your monsters off of you. So you can sell. Bizarre. Yeah, you can sell every puppet and just solo the game as Cornet if you really want to. But I don't want to. I think I sold my 2 mushrooms because it just felt weird having them in my party when I wanted to play with puppets only. But yeah, this game, I didn't even know there was a monster collecting mechanic until about an hour in. A mushroom just unexpectedly joined my party.
Yeah, because most of the game, like, I'm not going to be using Cornet to attack. She's usually sitting in the back of the formation, just using the horn on everyone, and then they're dead before her next turn comes around.
Yeah, you use the horn. It's, I think, 8 MP to give an attack boost to all of your puppets near you. And also, whenever she plays her horn, her little super meter goes up, and you can eventually use one of her reward spells, which are really powerful, and I save mostly for boss fights, again, this game gives you a lot of fun mechanics to play with, but it's so easy that it's never challenging. But anyway, you mentioned the rescue arc. Let's talk a little bit about the story. Cornet is a girl who loves puppets. She goes into town with her best friend puppet Kururu. There's a sort of an Ojo-sama, a very haughty, very rude girl named Etoile, which
she's the best. Just saying.
Yeah, and they have a semi-rivalry going where I think Etoile and Cornet genuinely like each other and root for each other, but cannot be nice to each other. Is my interpretation of this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Etoile is not interested in romance, but is interested in winning. So she's trying to win the fashion contest to become the wife candidate of Prince Ferdinand, who's the Prince of Marl Kingdom, and Ferdinand rescues Cornet from a dragon in the forest early in the game, and she's a little bit smitten. She's like, "Oh, who's this handsome guy?" But then she goes into the king and like, "Oh, the handsome guy was the prince. Oh, there's a contest to meet the prince." I'm like, "Okay, I'll enter that." And you end up having to needing to find a dress, but you can't buy one because Etoile has bought every dress and every like textile supply for the next 3 years.
Boss move.
Which is yes, the girl boss move for sure. So you end up going into an abandoned theater, fighting a bunch of chef cats, and finding a bear costume, and you wear that bear costume to the contest. But then it makes you trip during the dance portion of the contest and fall into Prince Ferdinand's arms. Cue musical number. It's a little bit like like in the 1950 Disney Cinderella, where it's My Heart Has Wings and I Can Fly kind of dancing
Very
with the
much
prince.
so.
Yeah, that was my specific reference there. And so like basically Cornet stumbles into a romance with the prince, and the prince thinks, like Cornet's unrefined and not as classically pretty as Etoile, I guess, but is very, very honest and pure hearted and strong. And Prince is like, I kind of like this Cornet girl. Maybe we should hang out more. But right when Cornet and the prince are making a connection, we meet Marjorie and her crew. Marjorie is a villain lady. She's a witch, and with her 3 witch friends, Meow, Gao, and Crotia. And she crashes the party because they because I think it was because Meow was trying to get a fish that Marjorie wanted, but then Cornet interrupted her. I forget. It was a very stupid reason why Marjorie crashed the party.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember it that well, gives you an idea of how important it was to the plot. But Marjorie, who's hundreds of years old because she's an immortal witch, but also is very sensitive about people referring to her age, immediately falls in love with Prince Ferdinand when she sees him, and tries to I think she tries to cast a spell to make him fall in love with her or something, but accidentally turns him to stone instead.
Oops.
And she panics, grabs the prince, flies out of there with her 3 minions. And the next part of the game is, well, we need to find the prince and cure the paralysis. What can we do to do that? Oh, if you get the 5 magic stones scattered all over Marl Kingdom, you should be able to undo any spell. So that's where I am now. I'm finding the 5 magic stones. I found 4 of them, and I'm right at the beginning of the dungeon where I'm pretty sure the 5th one is. So it's I'm almost done with this part of the game, but again, I don't know exactly how the pace is for the last stretch. So yeah. I don't know how much game I have left.
Yeah, I'm at 2 stones, I believe, so I'm not super far behind, but we'll be finding out pretty soon how much there is after.
Yeah, and these quests are basically, each of them is going to a new place, investigating around, learning about what happened to this stone, and then doing a medium-sized dungeon and solving the problem. And some of them are more involved than others. Which 2 of the stones have you gotten? So we can save some discussion for today and save some for next week.
Oh, the Firestone, and I don't remember what the second one is, to be honest.
There's the Wind Stone in Oasis. There's the Water Stone on the pirate ship, and the Thunderstone in the Ice Town. I think it's Snow White.
Yeah, I think that's the other one that I got.
Okay, yeah. And then the one I haven't gotten yet is the Earth Stone on the island on the southeast portion of the map.
Yeah. And honestly, for all we know, the game's going to be nearly done at that point. I don't know if it's going to pull out.
I really don't know how much more game I have left to play. But each of these is, again, I think I've referenced this before. It's a little bit like Dragon Quest III, where it's like you need to find the stones, they're scattered around, go at them. And the hardest part is not doing the dungeons or fighting the bosses, it's just figuring out who you need to talk to unlock the next thing. And you know, as a story structure, I think it's actually pretty good. Like I kind of like it when you have a little bit of non-linearity and a little bit of self-discovery involved in the story. And the story moments aren't bad, but they go by so fast, and they're kind of head scratching sometimes. Like with the Firestone, it's like the town people are like, please slay the dragon that are threatening us, and then you defeat some dragons. Then Crodia, one of Marjolie's girls, gets mad at you for killing the dragons. The volcano erupts. Some villagers maybe die, maybe make it back to the village. I'm not sure. And then it looks like that the dragon egg that was left by the dragons, the baby inside might die. Sir Cornet plays her trumpet to turn it into a puppet. So I'm not I'm not sure if Flare the baby dragon is a real baby dragon or the undead puppet of a baby dragon. More
disturbing implications from the main mechanic of gameplay here.
I'm choosing to believe that that Flare is an alive baby dragon, and your trumpet just woke it up out of its egg. But again, literally, there is a side story. Do you have the dog in your party?
I do not.
There's a kid with a dog, who's like, my dog's my best friend, and the dog is like, woof woof. I think it's Koro is his name, so it's a little bit like Koromaru for the Persona heads in the audience. But then like but then there you go back to if you talk to the kid after I think it's after Marjorie captures Ferdinand, and also there's another translation issue in the songs where they mention Ferdinand, they sometimes call him Ferdinando, which I think is probably how it's pronounced in Japanese.
Yeah,
but whatever. And you talk to the kid again, it goes, I was gonna drown, but then Koro-chan saved my life and drowned instead. It's like, oh no. That's awful.
That's horrible.
But then if you go to Koro's grave in the church, this is in your starting town. Then Koro joins. Like the ghost of Koro is like, I want to join your party. Will you play your trumpet? And it's like, yes, of course. But then if you use Koro in battle, he's like a cyborg robot dog with like a laser on the side of his body. It's
okay. I need to go find this.
Yeah. See, yeah. I hope you're able to still recruit him. But it's in the starting town, Orange Village. But like again, the dark implication of what puppets are, and what the spirits mean. This game is so weird. It's this very cute overtone and very dark undertone, and it's so easy. But the things that have turned me the most off from this game are the dungeons. These are samey, copy pasted rooms. It's like, oh, in the ice cave, the copy pasted caverns are blue, but in the Inodium mine, the caverns are dark brown. These are boring dungeons that don't even reward exploration very much. A couple of them have puppets hidden inside, but other than that, I do not give half a damn about it.
And it's like 4 or 5 tiles per dungeon. Like you're not just going through places that look very samey. Like the shape of the room you're running through is the same as like 12 other rooms in that same dungeon.
Yeah,
which makes them feel more maze-like than they are.
All the tiles are like turn left, turn right, turn up, turn down, 4-way crossing, 3-way crossing, and that's it. And some of them are temple or castle style, and some are cave style, and that is it. These are really poorly designed dungeons that are samey, that make me immediately switch my phone to a podcast or a comedy video or something.
Hey, I was doing that too.
No. This is I think we mentioned in another episode how sometimes games are just podcasty games. This is a real podcasty game. Like listen to episodes of Rhythm Retro or Random Encounter, and then pause the podcast for when there's a musical number or some important dialogue. because these dungeons are weak. But fortunately, and the encounter rate is also, to me, it feels schizophrenic. Like sometimes I'll have an encounter every 3 steps, and then I'll have like 5 rooms in a row with no encounter. I do not know what the mechanic is, but it's not consistent.
Yeah, it's really hard to say. Like it feels like there's no logic to the RNG to it, and it's just kind of giving it to you at a flat percent rate of each step running into an encounter.
Maybe that's it. And they don't have any built-in mechanics like in how in Final Fantasy IX, you can't. There's a minimum 3 steps between every encounter, so you can actually cheese that system and take in FF9 and take 2 steps, then wait about 2 seconds, 2 steps, wait about 2 seconds, and not having a single random encounter the entire game if you want. But there's nothing like that here. You will have in random encounters 1 step apart or 100 steps apart, and I've had both. But fortunately, I don't feel too much fatigue from these, because sometimes random encounters will just drive you batty. But because you finish every single encounter on the first or second turn, and you heal to full every 5 or 6 encounters because of the level scaling in this game, or I should say the level up rate in this game, it's very breezy. Like even though these dungeons are labyrinthine and poorly designed, and not even good for orienteering your landmarks, because if you if every floor of the tower looks the same, how do you remember which paths you haven't taken yet?
Well, in one of them, there's a sign in each floor that tells you what floor you're on. There's your landmark.
That's true, and that was helpful. And I think that's the Tower of Wisdom. And when I was in the Tower of Nine Tails later, it's like, man, I wish I had those Tower of Wisdom signs again. But yeah, the volcano dungeon and the baby dragon, the Tower of Nine Tails actually gives you a choice at the end, because there's a boy who wants to get the Thunderstone from the Nine Tails to save his sick mother, but then his master, who was a local mountain man, doesn't want him to. He wants to protect the Nine Tails because they're the guardians of the snowy region, and if you take the Thunderstone from them, they'll die. So when you go up to that tower, well, actually, before you go up the tower, he sings a Mountain Man song that's, let's say pretty good for this game.
Yeah.
And you have a choice at the top of the tower to fight the Nine Tails for the Thunderstone or let them live. And if you let them live, they give you a Holy Stone instead, which makes me think that the decision was a non-starter from the beginning. And you fight Gao instead, who's the one of Marjolie's goons, because she's trying to get the Thunderstone, all the magic stones to save the prince as well. Because again, Marjolie's in love with the prince and doesn't want him to stay a statue. Oh, and I think I mentioned a while ago, Wes, I did have a favorite song in this game. Do you know what it is?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. No. It's
the villain song that Marjolie sings. I should have guessed that. Yeah,
I should have guessed that.
It's pretty good. It is a very, very self-aware villain song that's very silly, but also just I kind of like the vibe of Marjolie and her other witch friends. It really reminds me of Doronjo, who is a similar scantily clad lady who hates jokes about her age, but she's from a 70s anime called Yatterman. But I mostly know her from Tatsunoko versus Capcom for the Wii. but that made me. But that made me think it's like that's like, you know what? I think it's an old anime trope to have like a middle-aged woman scantily clad as like a villain character. Because there's multiple seasons of Super Sentai that do that also.
I was going to say, as an old anime fan, I can confirm that is the case.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of Slayer's energy and Yatterman energy to Marjolie and her evil crew.
Yeah, and that, I don't know, that seemed like the most interestingly visual song, because so many of the songs do just slap a spotlight on someone and show the same one animation, and maybe they walk back and forth a couple of times, whereas that one is absolute chaos. There are minions flying all over the screen. There are unique animations I hadn't seen from her minions.
Yeah, Marjolie will laugh and animate, and even has a little bit of tiny 32-bit jiggle in her laughing animation,
as much as they can fit into those small sprites.
She smooches the Ferdinand statue. She gets mad when someone mentions that she's over 300 years old. It was more visually interesting and also just an amusing song.
Yeah.
But again, I found 4 of the 5 stones, so I think I'm going to be challenging Marjolie directly before too long? ? But the musical numbers aren't great, but this is an early example of Tenpei Sato music, and I don't know how many Disgaea games you've played, Wes, but for me, I've played the first four, plus Dimension 2 and Infinite, and also La Pucelle Tactics, which is kind of a Marl sequel / Disgaea prequel.
I watched my college roommate play most of those. That's how I experienced them.
I think I've used this word in this podcast already, but Sato's music can be described as quirky. Like
yes,
it's very bouncy, very cartoony, almost always upbeat. Even when the music gets sinister, it feels like there's some wink to the listener. And his output is insane. Sato's worked on something like 30 soundtracks over the last 25 years. But and they do admittedly run together a little bit. Like it's hard for me to remember whether my favorite Disgaea song is in 1, 2, 3, or 4. But they're still good. Like I think that this soundtrack isn't bad. It's just that the musical numbers feel a little stilted, a little awkward, and I'm mostly listening to podcasts as I'm going through these blank ass dungeons.
There are a few songs that really stand out. Like the world map song for me was like, it hit me as when developers were getting used to CD audio, they really liked that kind of soundscape. This kind of broad, echoey soundscape that they use in there. And I don't know, there's I think just a touch of nostalgia for me whenever I hear a song like that.
Oh yeah, no, this is a PlayStation ass game. It really
is.
So early CD audio, sprites that are a bit more expressive than Super Nintendo or Genesis sprites. More voice effects than usual, but not being fully voiced or close to it. It is a game of its very specific time and place. And there's fun to that. Again, like I loved playing. I played Suikoden 1 to completion for the first time in I think 2021 and had a blast. And I'm this is not as good as Suikoden 1, but I'm having a similar feeling of nostalgia for a game I've never played.
There's a lot of character to some of the battle animations as well, especially like some of the enemies, or like when Etoile pops up with all of her various guns.
Yeah, oh god, Etoile like and her bodyguards like having guns pulled out from hammer space is so Disgaea to me. It's extremely Disgaea. Like this is one of the games that informed Nipponichi's visual style and humor and anime nonsense going forward. But it wasn't 100% there yet. I've been probably more critical than usual in this podcast, but I'm mostly having fun. Like this is a cozy, easy RPG that I'm just sitting back. It's like settling into an armchair where I'm not being challenged or even that stimulated. But you know, I'm leveling up. I'm collecting puppets. I'm having an okay time. Really.
It's hard not to be kind of critical with it because all of the good points of it are just very self-evident. It's relaxing, it's cozy, it's cute. How much more can you say about that? Whereas its faults, while not as severe as they could be, are interesting faults.
Exactly right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say that boring dungeons are an interesting fault, but this game does so many interesting things. Like I think the puppet recruitment and the overall tone of the game, and the fact that it does have musical numbers, and the fact that there's monster recruitment and you can barely notice it as you're playing. Like all of these are interesting. It's just not executed as well as they could be. Like I this is going to sound very, very condescending, and I'm sorry, Wes, but I think this game is not great. This is like a 7 out of 10, but because it has good ideas, I just sort of wish it was better.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, this is a game with good concepts. It's not unfun or bad, but it's just sort of mediocre on executing those concepts. But I definitely want to finish, especially because this game, according to the brilliant howlongtobeat.com, is under 12 hours. I'm definitely going to finish this game, unlike the intimidating and difficult and demanding of every second of my time Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter from last month, which I still feel bad about not finishing. I'm definitely going to finish this one, and you know, Wes, I don't own that collection of the other Marl trilogy games, but I'm thinking about it.
Me too. Like all I can think about is how much this could improve with a sequel because those concepts are so good.
And again, I have played La Pucelle Tactics, which is also in the collection with this game, but I haven't touched it on the Switch yet. Like I got this game on sale only a couple months ago after we knew we were going to play it, but it fortunately was half off, so I didn't, it didn't break the bank or anything.
Yeah.
I might revisit Lapicel eventually because I really did enjoy that game that game 20 years ago when I played it.
It's a cool game.
And I believe Omar, the pirate boy in Lapicel Tactics, is either Cornet's son or grandson.
Huh.
And he joins the pirate crew that you meet in Blue Cat at sometime in the future of this game.
That's amazing.
So it's implied that he's a runaway prince. And spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure Cornet is going to marry Ferdinand at the end of this game. That's such a non-spoiler. I don't think I'm not even upset.
This is such a fairy tale you can kind of call from a mile away.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a total Shakespearean comedy and end on a wedding. I'm very certain about that. Because Shakespearean comedies end with weddings, Shakespearean tragedies ends with deaths. This has wedding energy to me.
It has big wedding energy.
And again, but also there's these weird under things like why do a handful of puppets want revenge against your grandpa? And if all these puppets are spirits with unfulfilled wishes or hopes, what's Kururu?
Yeah.
I think there's equal chances of Kururu being like one of Cornet's parents, or being like the goddess that gave Cornet her powers because Kururu was lonely, and wanted someone to talk to. There are ways this could go. And also Etoile, while seeming like a useless NPC the first time you meet her, ends up getting like more character development than any other character.
This is why I love Etoile.
Have you done the sequence in Oasis yet?
I haven't.
That's an Etoile portion of the game, avoiding spoilers. But
I know what to set sights for next.
Excellent. And oh god, also to get the key into the space you need to go into an Oasis, you have to go back to the restaurant theater and talk to a guy. And after he gives you the key, he disappears and appears to ascend to heaven. So I'm not sure if I'm again, this game is so like weird about his execution. I'm not sure if an NPC leaves or passes away in front of me at one point. But anyway, that'll be for next episode. We still have to talk about Oasis and the island, and maybe some more about the other magic stones. And again, I'm sure there's more musical numbers and some more action out of my favorite 300-year-old witch to see in the game. So, and I'm much more confident about finishing this game than I was about last month in Breath of Fire. So anyway, Wes, thank you for stepping up to the plate and being my only podcast buddy this month.
Yeah, we got a co-pilot situation here. I'm good with it.
Yeah, this might be a big month of Wes because last week you were on the Dragon Quest episode with me.
Yep.
And I think we both might be on board for our Halloween episode in a couple of weeks.
I think so.
Excellent. Well, anyway, listeners, I think I just gave it away a little bit. Next week, we're going to have part 2 of Rhapsody, a Musical Adventure here on Retro Encounter. And the following week, we're going to have a Halloween-ish themed episode. It might be a little spooky, but will not be as, scary as some past late October episodes we've had on our podcasts. I think last year, Peter and I played The Quarry together, which was a lot of fun, but considerably less scary than considerably scarier than what we have planned later this month. And, speaking of scary games, maybe we're playing Rhapsody in the wrong month, because in November, we are playing a legitimately scary game, Bloodborne. I am pretty early on in it. It has been the craziest tonal whiplash switching between Rhapsody and Bloodborne over the past.
You could not have picked better games to play to pair. Over
the past 10 days or so, those have been the 2 games I'm playing the most. And I've killed Father Gascoigne in Bloodborne, and it was harder than every single second of Rhapsody, a Musical Adventure.
Accurate.
And we haven't planned out most of November, but I think we're going to do an episode on our favorite side characters and maybe an episode on classic fan translations. Those are in the ideas board, but we haven't scheduled those yet, so I don't know if those will be November or another date. But Retro Encounter, that's the plans we have for Retro Encounter going forward. RPG Fan also has 2 other fine podcasts. There is Random Encounter about what we're playing on the website and randomness, and Rhythm Encounter about RPG music and rhythmness. You can reach out to Retro Encounter using the email retro@rpgfan.com, and those other podcasts through music at rpgfan.com and podcast at rpgfan.com. You can review all three of those podcasts, including Retro Encounter, on Apple Podcasts or Google Play or Spotify or however you're listening to us. What's the other stuff that I've skipped over in housekeeping? Oh yeah, RPG Fan Shop. If you go to rpgfan.com/shop, you can purchase RPG Fan merch sold through TeePublic. It includes apparel, baby onesies, coffee mugs, phone cases, a lot of stuff that you can buy to support us emblazoned with the RPG Fan Emerald Shield. But Wes, I got to thank you again for joining me on this episode. Thank you, the listeners, for listening to us on this episode. And before we sign off, we'll tell the listeners how to reach us via social media or otherwise. Wes, how can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Wes Iliff or on Blue Sky at Lone Weasel.
And listeners, you can find me on Twitter at The Real Monsoon, on Instagram at Evoker for Dogs, and on Blue Sky, I am sollosi.bisky.social. So, I mean, like as Snow White once said, someday my prince will come, but sometime a princess just has to go out and find the prince herself. Thank you, good night, and good luck.